Hello everybody, Reggie Time here, and today we're going to be looking at three hands that I played on Sky during today's session. The Tank Road to Bankroll is on hold for a month because I have best part of 3 weeks off work. I'm not working any of my contract jobs, I'm not working any of my working from home jobs, so therefore it's not going to be a particularly high earning month for me from the day work, so I need to try and create some extra income from poker, so we can't really be messing around at 5, 10 and L and what have you this month. So it's just going to be a month of solid grind at the Sky tables, and this is probably going to be the format of the videos for the month. So we have this first hand, and I had King Queen of clubs in the small blind. Seat 5 was a pretty tight regular. Not super tight, but tight enough. Pretty solid. We elect to defend King Queen out of the small blind. I mean, I'm going to presume he's a regular. He's going to be opening most pairs under the gun. He's going to be opening probably down to at least Jack 10 suited, maybe 10-9 suited, then some suited ace-x, that type of thing. So his range is plenty wide enough, I would guess. Where King Queen, we can play it for a call or a 3-bet. I elected just a call. And the big blind got out of the way, and we flop a gut shot and a backdoor nut flush draw. So we check. Our opponent makes a pretty big bet. It's like, what is that? 70% pot, something like that. I'm not sure. It's a big bet anyway. It's like 104 into. It's like what, 5/7 pot, so whatever that is in fractional terms. Sorry, whatever that is in percentage terms. I'm not entirely sure. Can't be asked to work it out. We could go any one of 3 ways here, I believe. We can just fold, presuming he giving him credit for having like a big ace or maybe a set or something. I don't think he's mega likely to have too many flush draws because 2 high flush cards are out there. We have a high flush card in our hands. The kind of the only real flush draw I would give him is like Queen 10 suited, 10-9 suited in clubs. That's probably about it on the flush draws, I would say. So I elected to just call. Not really sure why I called. I just I guess I must have thought at the time I didn't think a raise would get through, and folding seemed a little bit too tight, so we did call. Turn pairs the Jack, which has to be a better card for our range than his, assuming that if he's playing reasonably well, he's probably not going to c-bet his Jacks too often on the flop. Like if he's got like Jack Queen, Jack King, Jack Ace, I guess is like the only. Jack X is going to c-bet pretty much with 100% frequency. The rest of the Jacks are going to be checking them at least some of the time, if not most of the time. So I elected to try and take the initiative, and I led out for 185. I would probably not have too many hands for doing this with, to be completely honest, because most of my flush draws are just going to check raise a flop. So I'm not particularly well balanced in this spot. I'm usually just going to have like a Jack or something like what I've got. I guess it's not a spot that it's not a line I take very often, and when I do take it, I guess I'm not well balanced when I'm doing it. Our opponent disappointed, as he called, and then we get an interesting river. I mean, obviously, we don't have anything, and it's kind of like it's going to be hard to get him to fold some stuff, except maybe an ace. So the question here, I guess, for this hand is: do you give up with your bluff? Do you continue with it now? You can represent full houses and flushes to try and put pressure on an ace. We don't think he has an 8 at this point. So I guess my question here, and we're going to end the hand here, is what do you do from here? Would you, I mean, how do you like the turn lead? I guess playing results, you could say we don't like it because we didn't get folds. And now, are we going to go for it on the river? Are we going to go for the bluff? And if we are going to go for the bluff, what size are we going to make it? We're going to go big to try and just like blast him off an ace, or are you going to go like smaller, maybe like $4 to try and rep the full house, trying to get a crying call? What's your plan? Or is it just give up? He's called on the turn and you're just going to give up now. So there we go, that's the first hand. Here we are with the second hand. We have 2 queens under the gun. We elect to raise full pot. Not really sure why I did it. Normally I would just 3x, but this time we didn't. We went full pot. There's possibly a fish somewhere at the table. Not entirely sure. Didn't really want to name players, and yeah, I'm going to guess that someone somewhere was a fish. And all these stack sizes aren't totally correct. I just know that nobody had us covered, and we had a full stack, so it was close enough. So we get a pretty good flop for our hand. Well, damn good flop for our hand, I guess. We like to lead out pretty damn big. Obviously, for all the good reasons, lots of draws can call. 10x, 9x isn't folding. Yeah, it's just pretty standard spot to bomb on a relatively wet board. You get called by the button. Turn is an absolute brick, you would imagine. Super unlikely it's connected with him at all. The only hands that have improved really, I would imagine, that pocket fours that floated. That's probably it. So we bet £4 and he calls again. And then the ace hits on the river. Which, is it a scare card or isn't it a scare card? I guess if he has like ace high flush draws, it's a pretty scary card. He never has a 3-5, of course. It does complete hands like ace 10, ace 9, maybe ace deuce, but seems very unlikely. So what do you do here? First of all, and we're going to play it through to almost the end of this one. But what do you do here? Do you bet for value small to try and get value from 10x, 9x maybe? Do you check and just see what happens? If you do check, and these are all the questions you should be asking yourself before you see what happens in the hand. If you are checking, what size bets are you calling? Are you calling £5? Are you calling £4? Are you calling £7? Are you calling a shove? All those types of things. So before we go on with the hand, just pause the video now and just think to yourself, what kind of bet size would I be comfortable check calling here if I'm not going to bet? We did elect to check, and it was to induce bluffs. I was kind of thinking, you know, well, shouldn't have too much ace x in his range, apart from what we talked about, ace 10, ace 9, and nut flush draws. He can have a lot of jack queen, jack 8, 8 7, just like random flush draws. He can have, who knows, a pair that he decides just to bluff with. There's lots of bluffs he can have, not like plenty of value hands too. And yeah, I'm not going to say what I did because I wanted to know what you guys would have done. But what would you do here facing this bet? Bear in mind, his value combos, maybe he slow plays a few things, like sets or something on the flop of the turn, not sure. And these other value combos are going to be like ace 10, ace 9, and maybe 10, 9. So there you go. What do you think of that hand? Any thoughts on how I played it? If you've done anything differently up to now, let me know, and let me know what you would do now had you taken the same line as me. Last hand of the video coming in again. We have a premium hand. And stack sizes are in on this through on like the 2 relevant people in the pot. Well, they're all in this time, but the relevant person is going to be this guy, and he does have us covered. So we raise with the 2 kings, and it looks like we have to refresh the page because it looks like it may have crashed. They're going to let us do it this time? Nope. So let's try again. We have 2 kings under the gun, and everyone decides they want to come to this party, and we take a multi-way flop. Already a little bit nervous about the situation. We have a very a hand that's like strong in terms of it's like absolute strength. It's an overpair, but relative to the board and given the fact it's a multi-way pot, we should already, well, I don't know if we should be, but I was already starting to feel a little bit anxious about what's going on here. We're not going to fall to either of these guys if we were to get action. And possibly not from seat 7, but we are still very deep with seat 9. checks round to us. I go for a 2/3 pot size bet. Seat 9 disappointed. Well, doesn't disappoint us, but we get called by seat 9. And then that turn card happens. So we're going to play this hand through to the river. Before you see the action on the turn, think to yourself, what would you do here on this turn? Are you going to bet because we still have the overpen? Now we've added a flush draw. Obviously we're behind to full houses and quads now. We're behind to flushes. We're behind to straights. But we do have some equity. If we're not drawing dead, we probably have some equity. So are you going to bet out? If you do bet, what size are you going to bet? How are you going to respond to a raise? If you're going to check here, what's your plan versus various bet sizes? If he was to bet something silly like just £1.50, what would you do? What would you do if he potted it? What would you do if he shoved? What would you do if he overbet? Just think about different sizes he could take, he could make, and think how you'd respond to them. I elected to check. He made a pretty large bet. And I was already sick and tired of the hand now. By now I'm fed up with it. I don't want to be in the hand anymore. It's like, fuck you, this hand's getting away from me somewhat in terms of like, I'm not comfortable with the board, I'm not comfortable with his bet size. But at the same time, it would, in my opinion, just be way too nitty to just check fold. If we had king with it, like clubs and spades, I think we could make an argument for just folding this turn, but not when we have the king of hearts, I don't think. So I did call. Then the river comes that it shouldn't make him too many straights. I'm not imagining 10-8's going to like bet the turn too often there. Not to that size, like 10-8 without a heart at least anyway. And maybe 10-8 of hearts exactly bets it. Who knows? But the 6, yeah, he completes some straights, but I'm not that worried about straights at this point. I'm more worried about flushes and full houses. As I said earlier, I am a little bit sick of the hand by, and I'm certainly never going to bet this river. So we check, and sadly for us, he decides to just jam and set us all in. So basically the last question is, what are you doing here against this opponent? It was a very fishy table. I think pretty much everything at the table. There wasn't a regular anyway. I can't remember exactly too much about my seat now, because he was a player I had seen around now and again, but didn't really have any like firm reads on. I don't think he was like a mega fish, but he certainly wasn't a regular. Sadly, apart from that, I don't have too many reads in, because I haven't played that much Sky 20 and Elf in a while. And quite often this afternoon when I played, there was almost no regs that I could see. There was some new regulars that were playing quite a few tables, but I didn't see many of the old regulars. But that's maybe not to be surprised about, because it was an afternoon session and lots of those guys probably were in work or what have you. So yeah, he might not be a complete uber whale, but he certainly didn't strike me as somebody who was a good regular. So there you go, those are the 3 hands. Please give me feedback on all of them, and please, if you got this far, do try and hit the like button, because it's a pain in the ass and going through the hands trying to find them and then recreate the action on this podcast replay. So a couple of thumbs up wouldn't go amiss. Thank you very much for watching, and we'll be back probably in a few days when we've collated some more hands. Bye bye for now.